of my narcissism. Anyways, Mr. Himanshu
Yes.
Chavan, welcome to Sounds Good podcast. Devious Sajno, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode. With me is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Parth Valunchkar. We're really glad to have a really special guest today, Mr. Himanshu Chavan, who's going to be releasing his first EP, his debut EP called Parks, and I've heard almost all of the tracks from this EP, and let me tell you, they are incredible. So I just can't wait to hear them in the actual produced studio versions that they've evolved into. So, Mr. Himanshu Chavan, welcome to Sounds Good. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me here, first of all.
Yes, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Pleasure is always ours.
No. It's amazing that I'm, getting to do a podcast because as a kid, this may sound really weird, but even before
Hmm.
I was, uh, playing music and starting to learn music, I used to look at
Hmm.
podcasts or interviews, like mostly interviews, not podcasts back
Hmm.
then.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I just used to listen to them. I used to imagine myself being in one and talking about, you
I'm
know,
really sad that you chose this to be your medium of projection.
yeah.
I was just when Himanshu spoke about childhood, I was like, fuck. He didn't have to. Bade log.
Knows that thing.
But no,
What?
not at all. Nobody is anybody's hero. Everybody is
Yes.
Yeah,
looks up to each other, and it's a
of
very
course.
healthy scene right now. Touch wood. I don't know what I'm touching. I'm touching cane, I guess. I don't know. Wood comes, yeah, man. Tripod wood. So anyway, Himanshu, tell us when did Sparks EP start? What was the whole inception of how did it
The
begin?
inception of the EP, it's quite weird actually. Basically, the story of the EP started back on in 2018 December.
Hmm.
You might remember the night very, very nicely, Bharat, because you were there. This was high
Hmm.
idle, high spirits, and we were just, having fun, performing.
Hmm.
You were
Hmm.
rooting for a person who wasn't even elected there, like who wasn't even chosen for the. So what we had to do, like this, I'll just give a bit of a context here.
Hmm.
So what we were actually doing was uh, the host there who was hosting the competition. There was a competition named High
Mrs.
Idol.
Al.
Yeah,
Mrs.
yeah, yeah.
Al.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was happening was the audience there was asked to shout out the people, shout out the name for the person that they're voting for actually, and there were 5 finalists, me being one of them, and Bharat and me also was shouting for a person who was not in the top five. We were just like screaming the name out. But yeah, that night there was a person in the crowd who listened to my music and he liked it. So
Hmm.
Mhm.
after the competition, he came and said, I'm a producer. I'd like to
Hmm.
produce your music. I really like it. And
Wow.
Wow.
yeah. Back then, I thought producing meant he was giving me money. But yeah, I never thought, that would be music production. I just thought, okay, I'm getting money to produce my own stuff and, record my own stuff.
Just
I
imagine
was
you getting to the studio. Okay, so how are we going to do this? You're going to do this by DD or you're going to do this by check? He's like, no, there's no
yeah.
money involved. I just play the
That's
instrument.
and that's actually the good thing that when he did eventually connect with me, the first thing
Hmm.
that he said, like, what do you think a music producer is? And I was like, okay, I thought you were gonna pay me money. I was like, you're kind of right. He was being sweet back then. He was like, you're kind of right, but it's the executive producer that you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, my bad. But still,
he must have he must have been like, hey, this is indie music. There's never no money involved. Don't worry.
So,
of course,
just to, matlab,
huh?
executive producer is supposed to pay you money.
Yeah,
I'm
like
just
he's not.
asking. I'm not no. I'm actually
Oh, so
new to
when are
this.
we expecting our check from
So
Somanshu?
yeah. So Sumanshu को पकड़ना पड़ेगा अभी.
Somanshu is our executive producer. But
Still,
yeah.
I'm not still sure about that. I'm not sure that's the word that I heard, but I've seen it in movies. It gets passed around in
Hmm.
movies like executive producer, and that's the production
Hmm.
company that sets the budget for the product
Hmm.
that's being produced. But I wasn't sure about that, and he said, that's not that's not what a producer does.
I'm going to call Sumanshu right after this episode is recorded.
Let's do a conference call. Don't worry about
भाई
Yeah.
पैसा का है भाई पैसा का है. कितना मेहनत कर रहे हैं हम लोग.
वही तो whereas yes.
So
So
yeah, it started out back then. It took us, like him and me, to properly connect. It took us about 5 to 6 months after that, and it was, I think, in April, March or April. I think before March, sometimes around March, that he finally met me, and I wasn't sure about anything. So he only heard one song back then. I performed one song at High Idol, two songs actually, and he was there for one, the last one, and he was like, okay, I really like the song, and I performed again back then. And he was like, okay, I really like again, I would like to produce again. So I was like, okay, cool. I was thrilled because I never thought back then that I'd get to recording and putting out and releasing that quickly. To be completely honest, I thought that would come much later. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm psyched about this. So he said, okay, uh, so what do you do? What else do you do? I was like, okay, I right now I just write a lot of songs, and I've got a bunch of songs. So he said, okay, how many songs do you have? And I said, I have around 50 to 60 songs. So he's like, okay, that's a good number. So what we'll do is, we could actually go back to my place and listen to the songs. Some of them, you choose which ones that you wanna sing for me. And if you choose 10, I'll listen to 10 of your songs, 10 of the best that you choose, and let's see what we end up with. So at the end, he said, you've got a solid 5 songs that could make an EP, make an album. And that was really, I was quite psyched hearing about that. And at first I was like, no, 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 there's no way I'm producing or putting out an EP. Because to put into perspective, 2019 March was when I had just started gigging, like proper gigging where I'm getting paid. Because it wasn't long since I actually started performing. My first performance was in August of 2018. So it hasn't been a year back then, in March, when I was sitting at this place. It wasn't a year since I actually went out and performed with the guitar, and I was like, okay, cool. So that an EP isn't that too early for me. But he was like, okay, why not? If you've got your songs right now, even if you know if you put it out in an honest effort, it could be a timestamp of what kind of an artist you were when you were, say, 19, 20. And that's going to be there. Of course you'll change after that, you'll improve after that, but you won't be the same artist that you are right now. I think that sounds nice.
absolutely.
So yeah, that was the inception of the EP.
That's wonderful, bro. That's wonderful because
Yeah.
I mean I wouldn't. I've just happened to see you from where you started
Yeah.
with a car passing one day. So I've already. I'm sitting in my building lobby actually. So
Oh, are you?
yeah, if I show you my setup,
Nice.
you'll be like you were taunting me for my ladder. Screw
Huh?
you.
So
But no, no.
भारत के पास आज
So I
अच्छी प्रोडक्शन है, बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक भी है आज उसके पास.
yes, background. Ekdam, this is not background music. We have like nature sounds right now. We have like I'm in a
Nice.
busy street. I'm sitting in a busy street right now. So what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying is I've seen you from the beginning. And one thing that I've really admired about you and
Uh-huh.
Akshatal, who's also a musician, is
Of
that you guys
course.
are very relentless in your approach. You guys are very consistent. You guys are very persistent. You guys hustle. You guys are very, you guys are distinct in your own careers. You have like very
Yeah.
different approaches, different soundscapes, different ideologies also to a certain extent. But at the same time,
Yeah.
what unites and puts you both into a very special category in the indie scene is that you guys are relentless. You guys are always working. You guys are everywhere. Because I remember the first year, I think when you started music,
Yeah.
wherever I happened to see you in stories, or if I would at some gig, I would always see you there. And that is
Uh-huh.
a
Yeah.
wonderful quality to have because, and I like if there was somebody who would ask me about music, I'd be like, I don't know, I'm not a musician, but
Uh-huh.
if you want to follow two people, you have to follow Himanshu and you have to follow
Eat
Akshit
them.
because these two people have done so many free gigs. I'm just kidding, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
That's true.
I'm just kidding.
That's true.
No. I'm just joking. But
But that is true,
I'm
isn't it?
so glad. No, but everyone starts somewhere. Everyone
Yeah,
starts
of
somewhere, and
course.
there's no demeanor of disrespect to that.
It's not.
It is,
It's not. It's actually
and you
funny.
guys are doing very well for yourselves now.
Mhm.
You guys are doing very well for yourselves. You guys have carved a space for yourselves. You guys have fought for the for you guys to play your original tracks, which is a very difficult thing to do. And so, in an
Uh-huh.
initial phase of your career, you guys have carved a niche for yourself, and you guys have set some industry standards and set some rules that this is how I play.
That's.
And
Uh-huh.
you guys have not pandered, which is a wonderful thing, and you guys have protected your essence and your sanctity via the music you guys make, which is tremendous.
That's too much.
And and I've not found opportunities to say that, but I would want to use this opportunity to say so, which is a very good quality to have. So I would want you to always be that way, and you're doing really well that way. So you tell me, how did
Uh,
this approach come from?
but
Where,
yeah,
what
that's
was
that's
the
that's what I was getting
was
at.
it
Like,
was this
firstly,
Himanshu,
uh-huh.
was this you naturally? Was it always you naturally, or was it something you realized that if I have to survive in this scene, if I have to adapt to survive,
Uh-huh.
which is uh, how humans function since evolution?
Uh-huh.
You tell me, was this an approach or was it like a middle ground, a mix of both?
See, basically, like that's what I was getting at. Like when you speak of things, right? Wait, there's wow, that's a
All of us
nice
have
horn.
cars.
Yeah.
Parth will have a helicopter just passing by, but stops there.
I live right by the highway. That's why I have like really amazing noises here, like really
somehow,
amazing horns.
somehow, somehow, my lobby is noisier. I don't know why, but yeah. But, right.
But yeah, getting back to the question, like when when you said things like you set a niche about
Hmm.
those kind of words, I'd say that's that thought kind of never went through my mind.
Hmm.
Even when you said you fought for playing your songs, actually it wasn't that. When people come up to me and say that you have
Hmm.
actually made a space for yourself where you can perform your songs right now, but it didn't
Hmm.
start out that way. But it was always very simple for me. It was quite straightforward because I'll tell you this. My first
Hmm.
open mic was at Unwind where you were hosting. That was the first time I was actually performing, in an open mic. I had done competitions before. So this is a story of the first competition, the first time I ever went in front of a crowd, ever, first time seeing a mic even this
Hmm.
close and, actually singing into a mic and holding my guitar in front of people, actual people.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, so that first competition, they asked me what song I'll play,
Hmm.
and I thought, okay, this is gonna be this me coming from me. I'm quite a nervous person, I get very nervous seeing a lot of people. So I was like, okay,
Hmm.
this is gonna be very nervous to
Hmm.
perform a song in front of people in itself. So why waste such an energy on someone else's song? Like, what
Hmm.
would that earn me? I was like, okay,
Wow.
I can do Ed Sheeran's song, but what would that be like? Like, I would have to muster so much of
Also,
my
guys
courage.
watching, Himanshu is called the Ed Sheeran of which area do you live in? Kathraj, right? You call the Ed
Kotrud.
Sheeran.
It's Gaurav's joke. Ed
Yeah,
Sheeraz
you
of
call.
Kotrud, he says.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and
but
Vishrut is called the Himanshu Chavan of wherever he lives. So,
I call him the Sachin Tendulkar of Dhanori. He kind of looks like him. He does, doesn't he?
wow, man.
Yeah.
He does. No, you
Yeah.
both are tremendous musicians. And yeah, anyways. So you were telling me that
Yeah.
you were nervous. Then you said you felt that why should I, if there's
Yeah,
so much
basically
that
it
I'm
started
projecting
out.
and putting out, right?
Basically it started out like that. And the first open mic that I planned to go, this is quite a sob story, I'd say, because
Hmm.
I planned to go to Unwind to perform my
Hmm.
song, and
Hmm.
I was super nervous about it. And I had been
Hmm.
told about you guys like Orange Octopus by Piyush Bisekar, who I really, looked up to as a
Hmm.
musician. And I
Hmm.
was like, okay,
All of us
I
do.
was,
All of us
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Hmm.
So I looked up dates and I was like, okay, I'm going to be registering for this event and I'm going to go. So I was, as I said, back in 2018, a lot of rough stuff was happening around me. So I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
quite anxious as well while being nervous back then. I'm not that anxious right now, but back then I was. And I was super nervous about it and super, afraid of performing. But at the same time, I used to love it as well. But it was just, the nervousness. So I actually called up my friend, my good friend, and I asked him, "You're coming with me, right?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm coming." So right up to until 30 minutes, I had to leave. Like 30 minutes before I actually was about to leave, I called him. I was like, "Where are you, dude? Like, aren't you coming?" And he's like, "No, I can't come now."
Yeah,
Like,
all of
why?
your friends come 30 minutes until your gig. All of your friends are in,
Yeah,
just 30
yeah,
minutes until your
yeah.
most of the
That
time.
happens. So
Yeah.
he was like, I can't come. So I was like, "Hey, you promised me, dude. Like, I can't. I won't go if you don't come." So he said, "If you won't go, if I'm not along with you, so why are you even going when I'm with you? So what's the point?" And I was
Mm.
super bummed out. I wasn't like inspired by it. I was like, okay, fuck, I can't do this. I just cannot do this. Still, I mustered
Mm.
up some courage and I went to unwind. And I was still there, quite anxious. And this part of me, I don't, quite. I'm not very familiar with the me that I'm talking about, but I am still, that person somewhere. So I was super nervous, and I was looking inside Unwind, and I was standing right outside the gate, the lobby that you go through, the
Mhm.
path that you go through to
Yeah.
enter Hard Rock as well. And the guard asked me like, "Kya hai? Like, jana hai kya?" I was like, yeah, just wait. He's like, "What's the entry?" He's like, 200 rupees. I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll just wait." And the music was going on, people were performing, and I was just, standing outside. I stood outside for 45 minutes, and I got so nervous that I turned around. I got on my bike and got home. I didn't perform. I didn't even go in. And while coming back, I was so destroyed. I was like, okay, why didn't you even go in? Why didn't you even give it a try? And that's when it came to the second open mic, when I decided, fuck that. If no one comes, I'll just go alone.
Mm.
But I'll muster up the courage to even face the mic, face the people. And I was like, okay, if I'm working this hard to just get in front of people, why do it for someone else's song? That was the emotion. Like, that's basically the emotion. Like, why do it for someone else's song?
Mm.
If I've got songs, why not do it for my song? There's no point in working so much for it to be like, oh, that's a nice song, you've sung it nice. And I wasn't a good singer back then, so I wouldn't even get that compliment. I thought, like, what is the point then? So I was like, okay, cool, I'll just stick to my own songs. And that's how I started out. And basically, when I started out with my own songs, the joy of performing your own songs, it's just very different. It's very different. Like,
Yes.
I first performed my own songs and then I performed covers, and I was like, okay, this doesn't even come close. It doesn't come close. So yeah, the part that you said about, gigging around, the
Mm.
fact was, even starting gigs and getting paid, people ask me like, what is your set list like? And frankly, this is not even a joke. I could play lesser amount of covers than I could play my own songs. Like, I had more of my songs than I could play covers. So it gradually was like 70% of my songs and 30% of covers, which I could properly do justice to. So it started out being
Mm.
like that. I was like, okay, there's
You
no.
basically Tanish Bagchi in reverse. Might be saying. Sorry, no, I'm just
uh-huh.
kidding. Tanish Bagchi is a good musician actually. People don't realize that sometimes. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard a lot of his music, but still, it started out like that. It was actually a desperate attempt. People used to call me, and I was like, okay, I'll make space for some covers, but I'd have to work harder for the cover than
Hmm.
I'd have to do for my own song.
So
So
speaking
again,
of covers, I had heard this. I heard this story. I was like, wow, this is a good trick. So
uh-huh,
someone told me that you were doing a gig,
yeah,
and
everyone's heard that story, of
you
course.
were doing a gig, and you started playing a song, and a particular song, probably
Yeah,
your song,
yeah, my
and
song.
people's reaction wasn't as merry as you expected. And then you
Uh-huh.
said, "Hey guys, okay."
No,
So you
no,
said,
no, no,
"Okay,
no.
now
That's not how the story goes, actually.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know. Correct
Uh-huh.
me if I'm wrong." So
Uh-huh.
then you went like, okay, this new next song is by Ed Sheeran,
Yeah.
and you actually played your own song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when did this happen?
So
How did you even fool people on such a large scale? That's really cool of you.
yeah. So what had ended up happening was, it was a 14th Feb gig, Valentine's Day.
Mm.
Yeah.
So everyone else, the audience was chilling around, right? Like 14th Feb, we're just gonna chill around. And their venue owner was super stressed, and uh, not being too hard on him. Like that's
Just
fine.
tell
Like
me,
you could be
just give
stressing.
me a hint which venue is this. We're not going to speak in detail. Just tell me a hint where, which part of the city is this?
Viman Nagar. You might not know. You might not know. You seriously might not know.
Okay,
This
cool.
is not a venue that
So yeah, go ahead.
actually I've actually been to a lot.
No,
So
no, sir. Go.
yeah. So and this was in 2018 because this was a major confusion because the podcast that's out on YouTube by Small Pocket Dreams, like people have it confused with the gig that I did on the 14th Feb, uh, on 14th Feb in 2019 or in 2020. So people are like, whoa. The venue owners were like, did I do that? I was like, no, you're chill, man. Like that was the place called Hippie at Heart. It's super nice. It's super nice. I love performing there. Just
Right.
adding that in. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this venue owner back in 2018, he was super annoyed. He was super stressed, not even annoyed. He was super stressed about a lot of people coming in. I need to give them a good time. And I was like, okay, chill. It's fine. So what ended up happening was he said he start with covers. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll play a bunch of my songs and then I'll start with covers. So that's what I did. So I played a lot of famous songs that I personally like Fix You and Perfect by Ed Sheeran or Photograph by Ed Sheeran. Like these are big songs, aren't they? Like people know them.
People know them.
And out of nowhere, he just comes and he's like, what are you doing? Like people aren't enjoying. People don't even know these songs. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like these songs are the ones that people actually know. He's like, no. So what are the songs that you were playing at the start? I was like, I performed my songs, and he was really aggressive, and he was like, you can't play your songs here. What do you think? You're just an addition to the whole event. You're not the spotlight. This is not a place to experiment. He was quite rash about it, and I
That's
was
rude.
really
Yeah.
angry. I was really angry, and I was like, chill, chill. People
Must
are
be some
having fun.
catering guy. Must be some
Yeah.
catering guy telling you what to do.
No. He was
But
the
yeah.
owner. That's the sad thing, isn't it? Like the catering people of the people who actually work there, they're like, okay, cool, it's fine. The owner is the one who's getting super stressed, and he was like, you know what? You can't play your songs here. You're gonna do a song that people like, and I'm gonna sit in the first front table right in front of you. I'm gonna gauge the audience. And the truth was, the audience was enjoying properly. Like they were like, clapping along. And it's a 14th Feb gig. What do you expect people to just, leave the person
Head
that they're
back.
with and just focus on the music? Like they're just, talking. And
Yeah.
after the song ends, they're like, okay, cool, that's nice. And I was quite comfortable doing that. But after that speech, I was like, okay, I've got to do something. Like, I'm not going to just take it. So he sat right in front of me. So I said, hey guys, this next song is from Ed Sheeran. It's not, that popular. You might not have heard it. It's called See You. And everyone was like, okay, let's listen to this. And people were, after the song ended, people were clapping along. And this guy, this owner, he's sitting right in front of me. He's like, oh, really nice. Amazing. Do more of this. And the truth was that was my song. I just passed it under Ed Sheeran's name.
Did you tell him after the gig that
Excuse
me, the song? Did you tell him?
No. That was more for me. I was like, okay, cool. That's my music's not the problem. The problem is his mentality.
Oh,
Like, it's cool.
wow.
He's just like, okay, if you sing a song that's good, it should be by someone who's famous. The song doesn't matter. I was like, okay, cool. If that works for you, it works for me. It's cool.
That speaks a lot about, yeah, you're right about that. That speaks a lot about people's perceptions. Like,
Yeah.
like in general, like if you see a T-shirt with a reputed brand's logo on it, you'll buy it irrespective of the quality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the T-shirt you gave was bad quality. It was definitely good
It's sick.
quality.
Yeah.
So you have to, and that's a good trick to manipulate. And you're not even manipulating. You've worked hard for the songs, and it's comparatively harder for you to sing those songs than for you to sing a cover and take the easier route. So considering that, it's excellent that you did that. So you tell me, have there what? So we've spoken about. I wanted to ask you about this. So this will be a decent segue. You tell me, what has been your not so good gig apart from the gig that you just said, and what has been the best gig you've had?
Cool. So there are a bunch of not so good gigs, to be completely honest.
Which is the top tier?
Top tier might be the one that I did in Mumbai. I won't mention the venue.
Oh,
But
given
what
it.
ended up happening was
Hmm.
I was opening for Fiddlecraft, and this was a big
Hmm.
venue. So that
I know
got to
the venue.
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know the venue.
It got to me. I was like, okay, cool. I need to step up my game, and I didn't
Always
need to
happens in
do
the big
that.
venues.
Yeah,
Always
yeah,
that shit
yeah,
happens in the big venues.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, phew, I need to do
Hmm.
something else. I need to make this a big gig, and that ended up making the gig much worse.
Hmm.
Because I was on that try hard mentality where I was like, okay, people need to listen to me. I need to do something. I need to
Pandering,
sing a
basically
certain way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pandering to the audience. Yeah.
Not even pandering, just being super stressed about it, not focusing on the songs. I think
Hmm.
my not so bad gigs have been when I've focused on the gig, not on the song.
Hmm.
Like people
Hmm.
can tell,
I'm getting you.
and yeah, people are right about that. Even when
Hmm.
sometimes we say that a lot of people are not listening, it's just that they realize, humans
Hmm.
can realize when a person is into something or not while they're
Mhm.
you know this on the spot. So I wasn't completely into my own songs. I was just like super stressed about, I'm singing about uh, certain things that I've gone through in my life, and I'm thinking about what that table is doing right now. So that's not a good place to be in mentally while performing the gig. And
Right.
that got to me, and that really helped me actually. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm not doing that again. Even if I, cut down on the focusing just on the audience part, I need to be at least, that's the least the venue owners or the audience or even me myself expect from me, to be a good performer in terms of getting the song properly done. I shouldn't be, fucking up the song just for the, just
Hmm.
because I'm caring more for the audience. It doesn't bode well, does it? And that
Right.
actually translates into my what I think my best gig was. It was in Symbiosis, the festival gig. So I had done 2 or 3 festivals before it, and they went very good. They were really nice. They were better than most of my
Mhm.
club gigs, I'd say. People were actually listening. People texted back after the gig saying we need this song out. Like that stuff happened.
That's
But at
wonderful
the
because
same
my
time,
best gig till now has also been the same fest on the other day
uh-huh,
when they had the competition. So I
nice,
had a similar experience. So yeah, 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 go on, go
nice.
on. Huh.
So yeah, so these festivals were nice, but
Hmm.
I missed the mark. Like it was just a technical thing where I go and perform in club gigs, right? Like I
Hmm.
realize that people are there to chill,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and I can give them music that they want to listen to or they can listen to. So they can listen to
Hmm.
the music there. But when it's a festival, they're here to listen to the music. They want the music. They're the focus. And you can straight out reach out to them and say, sing it out loud. Or just say like, this is a song that you have to listen to, and you just,
Mhm.
can clap along, or just join along. They're in for it because that's why they're here. And I missed that mark in the starting 2 festivals, but at the third I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go out and
Hmm.
not care so much on the audience because they're here for the
Hmm.
music.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
focus on
Hmm.
the music.
Hmm.
And it was surprising because my not so good gig that I was talking about, there were like 10 people in front of me, 10 or 14 people, and that was the worst gig. And in Symbiosis there were like more than 100 people right in front of me, and that's when I was just caring about the music and not caring about a lot of people there, because people were loving it, and
Hmm.
I knew if I got the music right, they'd
Hmm.
like it. So yeah, that was my personal favorite gig, because I was, when it's a whole different thing when you hear back your song being sung by 100 people. And that's only happened once, to be honest. It's not a big thing, it's not an accomplishment yet. But man, that was just nice. I was just closing my eyes. I was like, okay, cool, this is a performance from me as well.